This year's already flown. 2019, hold on. So this is the Facebook Ads Power Hour, where I get to interview some really cool and awesome people that I genuinely want to hear from and learn from. And by virtue of that, you guys get to listen in on some really cool nuggets and gems related to Facebook ads. We've had some really cool people on the show over, I don't know, I think we're running for about 8 or 9 months now. And I'm really, really excited to bring Max Finn onto the show today. Hey, Max, how you doing?
What's up, brother? It's good to be here.
Awesome. So Max is going to, we're going to talk about lots of stuff, I'm sure, and we'll veer in and around Facebook, e-com, property agency, and many other things aside from that as well. So I'm going to give viewers a few minutes to join in. I can see the viewer count going up. And this, for those of you that are kind of new to this, I get to interview people every few weeks. So Max is actually someone that I've known of and followed for a couple of years. Didn't really get to talk or meet him probably until last year, and actually got to meet Max in person in Bangkok, of all places, which was really amazing. Not just to meet Max, but actually it was quite a weird event in a way that 3 of us went there as couples. That doesn't always happen where you go to, especially a marketing or e-com event, and you're there with a bit more of a family feel. So that was really cool to hang out with Max, Van, and their partners as well. And actually at the retreat in Phuket, where it was so laid back, so chilled, and getting to know Max and Larissa really well as well. And we hope to do that again soon, someday, sometime, maybe sometime soon as well.
You're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Cool. So for those of you that are joining in, I can see got 15 people on the call right now. Give me a shout of kind of where you're from. I always love to hear or see where you guys are dialing in from. I'm in the UK. Max is on the East Coast of the US.
Florida.
There you go. So yeah, just you can put your flags down. You can just tell us where you're from. And also, if you're on the live, you can ask questions to Max later on. So we'll leave like 20 minutes at the end, and you can ask any questions to Max. If you followed Max online, you know that he's a massive giver. So I'm sure he'll be giving you loads of gems dropped into that as well. If you're on the replay, then type in #replay with your question, and we'll try and get back to those later on if we can. Hey, Mirza in New York City. Carlos is in South Florida as well. Jamie, hey, from PST in Oregon, well, PST Pacific time in Oregon. A few others there as well. Victoria, hey, Kat in Victoria, Canada. So we've got a few time zones going on there as well. And it's quite interesting. So right now it's just gone 9 p.m. in the evening in the UK. And I try and do it at a time where I can kind of balance all the time zones. Like, this is just a crazy thing. So I've got Tom Hiscox in Sydney as well. And I think they're like plus 11 hours. PST is -9, and we're kind of right in the middle. We try and make it work for everyone as much as we can as well. But yeah, it's actually an interesting thing. I know kind of Max does courses, coaching and stuff like that. He's got his group, and I do kind of similar stuff as well. It's quite difficult sometimes when you're doing lives and support sessions and stuff with your students to get the right time as well. So I'm going to be kind of talking to Max a bit about that as well. Sergio from Romania. So guys, if you have questions for Max or myself, just fire them into the comments and we'll get back to those towards the end of the show. But right now I'm going to go and kind of find out more about Max and kind of ask questions of where things are for Max, but also discuss some general things as well. But before I do get started, I'll just hand over to Max to give an introduction of who he is and what he's up to.
Yeah, I'll try to make this as quick and painless as possible because it's my least favorite part of doing any interview or talk where I had to tell people about myself. But you know, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. My grandpa's an entrepreneur. My dad's an entrepreneur. They were in the commercial real estate industry, which I knew I did not want to get involved in pretty early on. And my dad was thankful for that. And I started my first company while I was still in college. It was a venture-backed company. We built a mobile platform connecting brands with micro-influencers and built it up, raised several $1 million, had 500,000 users on the platform, and made every mistake you could think of. And I knew towards the end of that, I didn't want to run another venture-backed startup. Like, the Silicon Valley world is so different than the digital marketing world. They're just like polar opposites. A lot of digital marketers, it's like, I can throw up a store and make money today. Silicon Valley's, how much money can I raise to build a really cool, innovative product, and I'll make money down the road. So started my first e-commerce store towards the end of that company, which was called the Daily 100. It was called, and then the store was called Startup Drugs. We actually just sold Startup Drugs last week, which was kind of bittersweet, selling my first e-commerce. Like, I sold stores before, but like that was my first one. I held on to it for a really long time. But the group that bought it will be able to do a lot more with it than I will be able to. Towards the end of that, I realized like I really liked Facebook ads. That was really what helped me grow Startup Drugs. Started in an agency with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank and my current partner, Jeremy Adams. We grew that over about a year and a half, worked with companies like 3M and Sam's Club and every type of product you could think of. You know, obviously Kevin gets pitched a lot of things. I knew towards the end of that, I didn't want to do the big agency again. We had 2 offices, lots of employees, massive overhead. And we can talk more about, I think, the pros and cons of growing a traditional agency, like a VaynerMedia style agency versus what we're doing now. Started Unicorn about a year and a half ago. And Unicorn is basically a holding company. We have our consulting business, we have our academy business, and our capital business. So we do consulting and ad management for a select number of clients. It's much more boutique and much more premium. So we kind of price a lot of people out intentionally, so we don't have to work with a lot of people. The academy business is kind of a mass market. That's where we have our courses, our trainings, all that good stuff. And then capital is a new side of the business where we're actually investing and providing capital resources beyond just the marketing. So that's where we're at right now. Obviously, there's a lot more to dive in each one of those businesses and lessons from what I've done in the past, but that's the rocket pitch for everybody.
Perfect. Cheers, Max. Got a few more people just joined in. Moima, I think I might have pronounced that wrong, says, hey, from Slovakia, great to see my Facebook ads of rock stars live. Absolutely. And one of the things that I found kind of interesting about following Max is I actually think of all the kind of Facebook ads and e-com people out there. I'm most similar to Max, or Max is quite similar to me in terms of our experiences, our backgrounds, what we're doing, but also, and this is just an observation of spending time with Max, actually as a person as well, which I think is really cool. So Max, in terms of like Facebook ads right now, there's so much going on. There's CBO, there's Facebook issues in the background, there's new tools they're developing. What's the most exciting thing for you with Facebook ads right now?
That's a great question. So I think what's cool for Facebook right now is, for at least for people coming onto the Facebook ad platform or really trying to master it right now, is I don't think it's ever been more democratized, or it's going to sound bad as somebody that's like, for people that teach Facebook ads, you and I, but like easy as it is now. And I say that with, there's a big but there. Like with CBO, Facebook is basically creating a level playing field where essentially, like, you don't need to know the tricks and the hacks and the right bidding strategies and know the ins and outs of the algorithm and all these things. Sure, it might help you, but we're going to create this platform where basically, if you give us enough data and give us a big enough audience, we'll be able to find the right people and allocate budget effectively. Now, what this does lead to is like a much bigger emphasis on the product, the creative, the messaging, the branding, the landing page. Everything really outside of Facebook has become that much more important, because I feel like for the last few years, if you knew the algorithm really well and you were able to really just like game it and you figured out what moved needles, you could get by with a really crappy product. You could sell just about anything, even if it was a terrible product, no brand, terrible copy. Now I think we're going to see like people coming in that really don't know much what they're doing. They throw up a few audiences, like all men, all women, super broad, but they just have killer videos. The product is innovative, a great landing page, great branding, unique identity. And those are the people that are going to really succeed, in my opinion, because you can't get to, like, I think everyone wants to do the hacks and the tricks and stuff. And that might get you from like 10 grand a day to 20 grand a day, 20 grand a day to 40 grand a day, but it's not going to get you from 0 to 10, right? To get from 0 to 10, you need to have the brand, the product, the messaging, the creative, all those elements, which you can't hack. There's no loopholes or little, secrets there. that just you do one little thing and it's a game changer for you. So I think that that's both exciting, and it's also, you know, it's a challenge for a lot of people because it's kind of rewriting the playbook of what we've done for a long time.
Absolutely. So for those of you that follow me, you know that I've been kind of preaching the same thing, and I try and preach the same thing to people who are at all spectrums of Facebook ads, whether you're starting, you're rising, or you're at the top. It is. I talk about Facebook ads as a marketing problem. It's not a platform challenge. It's not about the technicalities and stuff. And it's the kind of short-term gratification versus the long play. So the short-term is manual bidding and hacking and all these kind of fancy things that you can do, which will get you kind of incremental results and could rocket your results. But as for stability, so I spoke to an e-com store owner today. So check this out. He's been on Facebook ads for many years. The guy's spending 100 to 200K a month, and they're doing about $500,000 revenue, and they're profitable and stuff. And he said, I don't know what I'm doing, but something's working. And he was genuinely, like, modestly talking about his results and stuff. I said, do you understand that what you're doing right now, you're way ahead of tens of thousands of other advertisers out there? But what he has, and it's going back to your point, is he's got a great product. He knows his audience, and the sales funnel's good. Like, that's it. And the rest of it, I looked into the account structure. Yeah, there's loads of gaps. Like, you could go in there as a nerdy Facebook guy and say, you're not excluding audiences here. You need to do this. You need to do that. But honestly, like, he's crushing it. I guarantee there's going to be thousands of people out there that would just love to be able to spend $100,000 a month. And he's doing that. So I think that kind of goes back to your point. Facebook are trying to level the field out, and campaign budget optimization is a great big step forward. When I first saw it, I don't know about you, Max, but I was really against it. I hated it. It took me months to figure it out, and it was my own fault because I just didn't get it. And Facebook know better than us, honestly. Like, when you look at the data science that goes into Facebook, I don't know if you have this, Max, but when I'm in Ads Manager, I go and preview an ad. Unfortunately, I have to go into the news feed at times, and then I see that red icon, and I'm like, I'm just going to check it out. And then 10 minutes disappears. Like, what the hell? But yeah, that's like what they're doing is trying to just take some of the controls back. I think they're leaving a lot still on the table for us and telling us, look, just go and do a better job of marketing. That's why we have the monthly satisfaction score for e-com. That's why there's so many ad disapprovals and ad ban accounts, all that kind of stuff, because they want the user to have a great experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Facebook understands that they need to balance two different user groups in terms of their overall satisfaction. Like, you can't have one without the other. So they need to have a great experience for users and a great experience for advertisers. And if they neglect one of them, the business model doesn't work. And so it's definitely a game of it's like a tug of war and give or take. And I think, yeah, Facebook's definitely, I would say they've made more aggressive pushes in the last 6 to 8 months than years of previous issues. And it's interesting because it's really, I mean, what's going on now with Facebook and Google is not new. Like, this has been every like 6 to 12 months for the past like 8 years. There's been something like this. This is the first time that like Facebook's go-to PR playbook just didn't work. They have like a standard playbook they follow for every time there's a big PR disaster. They like deny it while they plan in the back end. Then they address it. They send their people out to every major news outlet to have, get on TV. Then they make some small changes and eventually roll them back at some point. Like, that's their go-to formula. And for whatever reason, it just, it was just a tipping point and it no longer worked. I think what we're looking at now is like diversification. I think the one thing I know we can talk about Facebook ad strategy all day long here. I'm more than happy to like talk just about Facebook ad strategy, but in terms of what we're doing, I think this has shown a need more than ever to diversify. And this is something that like everyone should have been doing for years. People have been saying this for years. Ezra Firestone is like a mentor of mine, has been saying this since the first time I ever started following him, that they reallocate 20% of their daily profits to other ad platforms to test other things. So this is now like a real like punch in the gut that like I need to start testing other platforms. I need to look at Google, YouTube. I need to look at Snapchat. I need to look at Pinterest. I need to look at native and other channels. And we're definitely starting to explore Snapchat more than we've ever taken it like ever before. And Snapchat, I think, is going to benefit substantially from all this because they've basically taken every UI subtlety, like from Business Manager and Ad Manager, and replicated it like almost perfectly, but made it look a lot nicer and more user friendly. Like you can go, if anybody that's used Facebook Ads Manager can go into Snapchat right now and like know exactly what to do. They have their own pixel helper. It's Snapchat Pixel. Like everything is, for the most part, is almost identical, except for the fact that Snapchat didn't pull back any of the third-party data. So Facebook had, they pull back all their third-party data. So Nielsen and Visa and all the data companies. Snapchat has all that data right now. And they haven't pulled back because nobody's paying attention to them, which is interesting. So we're definitely starting to explore other traffic channels as well.
Absolutely. And what kind of success have you seen in Snapchat?
So we're really early stages with it. We're getting a really good rep right now because the one thing that's frustrating with Snapchat is like there's definitely a learning curve in understanding their ad policies. So they, just like Facebook, have restrictions, limitations, and they're a little different than Facebook. They have like different requirements and stuff. So we've had a massive pain in the ass just getting things approved for like very generic stuff. So we just got like our friends at GiddyUp connected us with the head guy like EMEA for Snapchat. So we're about to get like much more aggressive with it in terms of being able to actually open up a lot of spend and test a lot more aggressively. I think what's interesting with Snapchat is it's a very cost-effective way to get highly targeted people into the top of funnel for your offers. Like Instagram Stories was back when Instagram Stories first came in placement. I think it's obviously for specific demos. I think certain businesses, that demographic just isn't on Snapchat. But it's an interesting like point a lot of people make. It's like back with Facebook, it was the same thing back in the day. It was my customer's not on Facebook. I remember that was like the go-to argument for years back in the like late 2000s and early 2010s. And inevitably, when everybody in the world is on a platform, your customer's on there. It's just a matter of like, are they on there actively looking for your product? And it's, Facebook and Snapchat and Live's platforms are not intent-based ad platforms. They're passive. And so it's a matter of you being able to come up with a compelling enough message and experience to break that pattern and motivate them to take an action. And that's always been the problem with, that was always the issue with Facebook. I don't see it any differently on Snapchat or TikTok or whatever the next platform is, right? It's going to be a matter of like, that's where pretty much everybody is. They're not there to look at ads for a Facebook course, but like people that buy Facebook courses probably are on that platform. So it's a matter of just making that transition seamlessly. Absolutely.
And in terms of demographic, because this comes up a lot, who's on Snapchat as far as you can see?
So from what I can see, it's definitely a younger demographic, and it's definitely a more heavily female-weighted demographic. Snapchat, like to put it in perspective, their age targeting, it goes to 35 plus. So basically, it's like there's no like 35 to 45, like it's 35 plus. So that just gives you an idea of like how many people 35 plus or up are on the platform. And it starts at 13. So that it's like 13 to 35 plus is the age bracket. And that's going to be a whole nother interesting debate and discussion around these platforms like TikTok when it eventually rolls out an ad platform. Is like a bulk of the users are not 18. And so how do you handle that legally and just like ethically, morally you need to run ads? Do you basically just disallow advertising to that age demographic? Do you filter and only allow certain types of products being advertised? It's an interesting thing because it's no different than what every big brand has done in the consumer side in history with their retail display, right? So we don't have kids yet, but you have kids. When you go to not Toys R Us, they're bankrupt, but like Target or any retailer that has toys, you'll notice that like the best toys and things are at kid eye level. So like that's where the toy brands want to put their products because they want the kids to see it, pick it up, throw it in the cart without the parents knowing it, and the parents having either like get in an argument with the crying kid or give in and buy their product. I think it's going to be no different online. where you're going to start seeing like brands understanding, hey, I don't have to sell the parent as much as I got to sell the kid and get the kid just begging the parent, talking about the parent all the time that they want this. This is a hot toy this year. But it brings up tons of like legal and ethical, just like a debate around that, around advertising to that demographic.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think that people forget is, so Gary Vee talks about it, the attention economy. Like this is all about time on mobile. This is what it all comes down to. Like Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all these apps, and they're all just apps. Like if you look at Facebook traffic right now, for most people out there, 85, 90% of your traffic is mobile. So, you know, it's not, you know, when mobile comes or being mobile first. If you're not mobile first, you're in trouble. And, you know, this even goes down to things like your landing page, your store, all that kind of stuff. I see so many people sharing great screenshots on their desktop and say, hey, look how it looks. I'm like, what's going to happen when it goes onto mobile? Have you actually tested that? What does the user flow look like? But actually beyond that is everything's existing on the mobile. And, you know, when you look at apps that are upcoming and they're pulling people away from other apps, it all comes down to attention. So TikTok is a great example. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's one of those apps. Like when Snapchat came out, I was like, I can't see the point of this. And TikTok is kind of similar. I can see how it's like for the kind of meme generation. It's for those that want to express themselves, have a bit of fun, etc., etc. But you know, it's vying for attention, and it's doing a great job of it as well. And then that's where the ad platforms come in. So Facebook is selling attention. You're stuck on Facebook. Facebook know that. They want to hook you into the platform, give you the dopamine and everything else that comes with it. And then they'll sell your data for ads. And everyone does the same. Google is selling your search data for ads. Snapchat are obviously monetizing your time on the app as well for that. And like if you're then, you know, so one of the other things that you touched on is no one is, well, you did say this, but it's kind of the same thing. No one's on Snapchat looking to buy something. That's a thing. And like one of the biggest frustrations I see with Facebook ad accounts, and it applies to most kind of non-intent-based platforms, is actually building a user journey. So like considering something like Snapchat and the kind of work you've done with Facebook, how are you approaching that to build that top of the funnel awareness for your products? Are you doing info products or e-com or both on Snapchat?
Everything. I think it's the point you made is really interesting, which is that nobody's looking to buy something. But I think that's the majority of consumer interactions, right? Like with the exception of like buying a car or a house or like very specific purchases, most people buy things impulsively. Like it's a big chunk of purchases are impulse purchases, right? So you go to the supermarket, right? Larissa and I, like, we'll have 6 things in mind we need to get. We'll end up with the $200 in the cart every single time because it's like, oh, look, here's these, you know, Dole acai bowls, and we want to eat healthier, and they look really good. So let's throw 6 of them in there. Like it's most, at least for what I see, like most purchases are not premeditated purchases. It's I'm going with the objective to do this. This grabs my attention. This intrigues me. It sells me and converts me to try and buy this product. And that can even happen. I mean, that can be expensive things too. Like even the like Larissa's car we just got, like we did a lot of research and stuff. My car that I bought last year, it was almost an impulse buy. Like I had no intention to get a new car. I just happened to stop by because I saw this new dealership open. It was super high tech. I wanted to go buy, and they just made me a crazy compelling offer. And it was a car I never saw before. And before I knew it, I had a new car. So I think it's about understanding what motivates people, like what drives people, like at a fundamental level. Why do people do certain things? Because they want to feel certain ways. And if I can agitate that and compel them to understand, like doing this, buying this, trying this will help you achieve that, I can start you down that journey because your body mentally start to think about it. Like you're just even like not getting it, but thinking about it, your brain starts to almost like start running as if you're going to eat that food or try that thing or go do that activity. And that's why, like, I hate to use these examples, but like Ty and Grant and those guys, the reason they're so incredibly successful, despite all of us like shitting on the way they advertise is because they understand their demographic. Like Ty, and I say this almost all the time, like he understands who buys his products more than just about anybody. Same with Grant. And they give them exactly what they want. Like what every 20-year-old single dude wants is, I want the girl and the cars, and I want to feel important, and I want to fuel my ego, right? That's what they care about. You don't have a wife yet. You don't have kids yet. You're no longer with your parents anymore. Everything's about you. It's about me, right? And so that's what he gives them. Like, here's my lifestyle, right? How cool would it be if you had 6 cars, how you have people over in parties all the time? And by the way, like, this is how I do it. I do ecom. Like, here's a course, right? Like, he very rarely, and a lot of those guys that marketed that demo very rarely talk about the product or the features of the product and the fact that, hey, this social media course gives you 100 lessons and it covers this, this, and this, and you get office hours and stuff. It's like everything leading up to it is what the lifestyle you're going to get by doing this is. And so I think that's for like a lot what we do. That's what we try to do on the front end is we try to begin to build a relationship, begin to like agitate or kind of start that ball rolling of that person thinking that way we want them to think, and get them excited about what the outcomes could be. And so if we get them thinking about these exciting outcomes before we even talk about the way to get there, when we do say like, well, like this is what you really want, by the way, here's this really easy way to get there. It makes it a much easier sell because they're now looking for a way to go from A to Z, right? Whether it's to get in shape, whether it's to make money, whatever it is. If you can start using your top of funnel content to like illustrate how awesome getting to Z is and being there, whether it's having the money, having the health, the fitness, the lifestyle, the family, whatever it might be. Like when you do finally present that product and solution, it's magnetic. It's like, oh, that's what I need. Like I'm already now mentally like looking for that solution and ready for it. I know it's kind of like a roundabout answer, but I think that's really what it is for any business is understanding what drives your ideal customer at a fundamental level, like their lizard brain, right? Like that part of that primal part of their brain that does most of the acting, that doesn't really think, right? It's not the smart part of your brain, but it's the part of your brain that's like there for survival and base needs. If like you can tap into that, like that's really powerful. That is a really, really powerful part of somebody's brain to be able to I want to say manipulate, but be able to like trigger and leverage to sell a product or service.
Absolutely. So my question is, what kind of color Lambo did you go for?
I didn't get a limit. So I'll get back to, actually after I answer this, I'll get back to the like how we do it for our brand and why it works for us. No, I didn't get a limit. That might be the next. We got to get a house first. Larissa told me, she said before you can get a second car, you need to get her a new car. So I did that. We got her an awesome Range Rover, which is awesome because I drive it more than she does. And now we're looking for the perfect house, and then I can get the McLaren or the Lamborghini. And I probably will not share it anywhere because I don't really post a lot of stuff. But like for what we sell, that's a perfect example. So for our info products, like everybody tries to follow like a formula, right? So everyone kind of asks me like, is there a blueprint or a formula that if I just do X, Y, and Z and have this ad here and this ad here, like, it'll just work, right? And the reality is that advertising, at least if it's an info product, right? Or like, I wouldn't say not even a product, any brand is about having a unique identity. I think that's why Coke and Pepsi are different, right? They both sell the exact same product, but they're incredibly different. Apple and Google, Apple and Samsung. And so what I saw in our market is everybody running the same ads, right? So every single ad you see for a course is almost identical. It's here's my student, here's a screenshot of the results, and here's the way to get it, right? Like every single ad's the exact same. And so for me, like I want to be different, right? It's one thing if everyone's doing something, it could be because it works, right? It's another thing to just follow people blindly because that's what everyone else is doing. So for me, like that's not my style. I've never been that way, like flash, showing off my things. Here's all this stuff. I've always like been more sarcastic and had like, I think it's funny that like this is what people do, and I think it's BS and all this stuff. So all the ads I've been running right now are just like the exact opposite. I'm super sarcastic now. A lot of the ads I'm running, it's like my headline on a lot of the ads is like how we help one student generate a 2,500,000x ROAS, like super over the top, but like it resonates because it's familiar enough that people are like, wait, how did he's talking about the ROAS they got? And then they realize, oh, it's a joke. It's funny because he's poking fun at everyone else without being specific about anybody. And because of that, like I'm building a unique identity that's different from everybody else. And hey, it's not going to resonate with everybody, but it resonates really, really well with people who despise that. So there's a lot of people who just hate that form of marketing. And because I'm one of the few people doing the exact opposite, I'm magnetic for that. And I think being polarizing is great for that way. Even some of the ads running now is like an image of me when I was like 5 wearing a Batman costume, like my Batman costume for Halloween, because I love Batman. And I tie it into like how, you know, Batman doesn't have to, you know, Bruce Wayne doesn't have to go out and fight crime every night. He does it because he cares about, you know, the people and helping others and stuff. And same thing for me. Like I don't have to go out and like create courses and teach people to make money. Like I make plenty of money doing other things. I do it because I love to, right? So it's, again, I'm doing things that are like, it's who I am as a person. It gets people know me a little better. They get to have fun with it. It's pattern interruption, because instead of just seeing a screenshot of an ad, it's like me, 5-year-old Max wearing a Batman costume, where it's me and Larissa like on a wedding day. And so I think that's the other big part of advertising, not just on Facebook, but especially like top of funnel, is like not being afraid to leverage, like to use copy and creative that's not just like super salesy, right? Like don't be afraid to put up an image that's just like you and your wife, or like you doing something really fun, right? It doesn't have to be like, this is my course, here's a screenshot of it, or like buy Monster, go do this. Like think about most big brands, right? You think about ads you see for Nike. Like, have you seen the new Nike ad about, it has all these famous women talking about how like when women cry, they say they're weak. It's going through all these like famous women about the stereotypes against women. Like it's almost a minute long ad. It doesn't even include a Nike product in there. They don't reference Nike once. There's not a Nike shoe anywhere, right? And they paid a shit ton because it's got all these famous women in it. I think it's Serena Williams narrating it. Apple does the same thing. Coke does the same thing. Like you look at all these massive brands, they spend a lot of money top of funnel on brand awareness, on ads that have no direct response attribute at all. And again, it's not a coincidence that like all the biggest companies in the world that are B2C companies do something. And it's interesting because we as performance marketers, like for some reason we look to certain people as like, these are people you need to look up to because they're killing it in our industry. But we forget that we're selling products and we're building brands, and we should be looking at the biggest brands that sell the most products every year as inspiration, not just like gurus in the industry. Like look at what the big players are doing. Look at how they're allocating their budget. Look how they're marketing. Look how they're building brand awareness top of funnel. And you'll notice you'll see them all doing the same thing. And they all have massive budgets allocated to non-direct response advertising. And that's why they have such incredible loyalty, because they're providing value, they're providing entertainment, education, they're doing things beyond just selling. And that builds relationships with people when they feel like they're part of something bigger, when they're actually not being just like sold constantly. They're actually like, hey, we want to entertain you, right? We're going to run this funny video and we're going to spend a ton of money to run on the Super Bowl, not because we care if you buy a product, but because we have fun with it and want to be entertained. Like most Super Bowl commercials, they obviously make a lot of money, but they're also a massive investment, and they're more entertainment than they are like direct sales.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the other truisms, I guess, is video consumption is increasing and it will continue to increase. So like there's 5G coming out, which is going to make video streaming and downloading even faster. Mobile devices are getting faster, bigger storage. Actually, it may get to a point where storage isn't even a thing because the internet is so fast, it doesn't really matter. And one of the things that you kind of touched on is edutainment, which is the whole kind of merger of like the Harmon brothers. Like they do a great job of edutainment where they take some really dire products and they make it really cool. And they create little cool infomercials, but it's a story, it's fun. It could almost be a kind of comedy sketch in its own right as well. And that's disruptive because versus kind of commercial ads, which are trying to build up a story. And, you know, if you think about the typical fragrance ads, like a lot of them are really serious, and they'll have a guy on a bike and he's like, he's so cool and I want to be like him, and he's just spraying himself. It's taking the brand quite seriously versus actually doing the opposite. And kind of what you're talking about as well is actually just go off the beaten track and actually stand out by going in the opposite direction as well, which I think is really cool. One of the other things that you touched on is the kind of reptile brain. I don't know if you've read a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. It's by a guy called Dan Ariely. It's such a good book. Like, that's one of the
added to our Audible account.
Absolutely. I mean, that for me from a marketing point of view was so formative when I understood the kind of psychology behind your conscious brain and your subconscious brain. And the fact is that when you're marketing and you're able to influence people without them even knowing, and you're creating that desire and the pull towards your product, you're actually bypassing the conscious brain, because the conscious brain says, it's expensive, I don't have money, I want to go and buy those things, I want to do this, I want to do that. It's constantly talking you away from a purchase, and in many cases it's logical. But then, like, the inner side is something you absolutely cannot control. And, you know, when you find those emotional hooks and you can actually talk to them at a level that they just cannot help but find themselves pulled in, that's when the magic happens. So, like, Thinking Fast and Slow is all about the different ways the brain processes. Like, for example, I don't know if you have noticed this, but some salespeople that are really good at convincing you also speak very fast. Because if you're selling something and you're talking slowly, you're giving someone time to process. And so all their barriers start to come up. Russell Brunson's a great example of this. Like, when he's selling, he's fast. He's like, his words are just like zooming out, and you just can't take it. It's just like too much going on. But then he'll slow down on certain points. And, you know, you can do this with many things. If you're telling a story and it's a sad point, you slow down. If it's exciting, you speed up. That you can actually influence people's thoughts and feelings based on that as well. And that's a big part about advertising, that when you run your video ads, when you run top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, you're actually playing with people's subconscious as much as anything else, which I think's super cool. Your dog's popped up again. What's the dog's name?
This is Hokey. So she's
Hokey.
She's our Yorkie, and then Buster's the big guy. He never comes in here.
Ah, cool. So one of the things, so we've talked previously, and we've talked about many things. One of the things we have talked about is agency life. And I know I can see from the kind of likes and stuff, there are a few agency people here. Ken, I can see a question. We'll come back to the questions at the end. If you do have questions, anyone, if you've got any questions, just fire them in the comments, and we'll answer as many as we can at the end. If you're watching the replay, just type in #replay, and we'll try and come back to those questions as well. So yeah, in terms of agency, one of the things that we've actually shifted away from is doing less of the media buying for agency for clients, and actually doing more of kind of building up their own capabilities. So one thing we actually noticed was, because we were playing in the kind of area of taking like 50K clients and getting up to 100, 200, 300K spend, but then they want to take things in-house, which is completely fine, it's logical, but it's hard work to keep on kind of churning in new clients, you know, churning out old clients. So we've kind of shifted away from building them up to actually supporting them to do the same thing, but in a different way as well. And I know many agencies are taking different routes. Some go straight into the media buying and just stay there, absolutely happy with it. And you kind of touched on agency as well. Like, what's your agency doing now, and kind of what's the big thing for you this year?
Yeah, it's a great point. And actually, I literally just did a live, like, before we hopped on, where I talked about where I think the future performance marketing agencies are going, or at least where they should go and where we're going. I think inherently the agency model is just flawed. I think there's a fundamental flaw with most digital marketing agencies, which is that the compensation doesn't align goals. So most agencies, pretty much every agency I know, charges % of ad spend. So it's, hey, we spent 100 grand, you pay us $10,000 a month, right? The problem is, like, if I'm a business owner, I bring you on and I pay you 10% of spend, and you take me from 50,000 a month to $500,000 a month. I go from paying you, $5 grand to 50 grand a month. what if in that process, like I actually just was breaking even? Well, you go on the whole $45,000. I make more money. You don't make more money. And that causes a lot of tension with the relationship because it doesn't feel like a good deal for both parties. So I think percent of ad spend leads to just a lot of negative outcomes. I think it's one of the fundamental reasons why agency relationships are so short, because inevitably the client starts thinking like, I could be spending this money better elsewhere. I could be building a team. I could find a better agency that's going to charge less ad spend. What we've noticed is every client of ours, and we didn't go the big agency route. We're boutique. We only have a handful of clients. But all of the ones that we've structured deals that are percent of ad spend have stayed with us since the day one. Like Pat Flynn has been with us for 2 years. He's the best client in the world. Every client like that has been with us for like double to triple to 4 times as long as the average. And so for him, we charge a base retainer plus a profit share. So he pays us X grand a month and then X% of profits every month. And with that, it's great because like the retainer he pays us is not going to break the bank for anybody. We're not going to retire off that, but it covers our base expenses. We don't go in the hole with the client. And then our upside is aligned with the client. So we only make more money if Pat makes more money. And I find that deal structure it's a lot healthier. Both parties think they're getting a great deal. And that's the interesting thing about doing deals is a lot of people, they want to try to get the best deal possible. But if you think you have the best deal possible, that inevitably means just by the very fact that it's the best, that person got a bad deal, the worst deal. And I would rather, the way we started working is being abundant. I would rather both parties get a good deal and be very happy and work together for a long period of time than to get a little more and get the better deal and ruin the relationship. So I think on the compensation side, that's one thing. I think what we're doing also is we're looking at ways to leverage our client relationships to build assets, like co-owned assets together. So an example would be we have a big partner of ours that has retained us to do financial lead gen. So running lead generation for like, stock trading webinars, how to trade options, those types of things, investing in gold, and it's killing it. And we had a CPL deal with them initially. So we were arbitraging that. They were paying us, $4, $5 a lead. We were getting leads for $1, $2. Great money, easy. But we started thinking, well, this is great. We're making money. They're making money. But like, this is a valuable lead or a valuable customer. This person's clearly saying by opting in, they want to invest more successfully. They want to build wealth, right? And there's so many things we could sell that person, so much value we could give that person to help them achieve that goal. Why not build a more vertically integrated like company where we can monetize that lead over a much longer period of time? So we're creating something called Unicorn Wealth. We're about to launch, where our client is going to provide they're going to write the content, they're going to manage the site, they're going to do the email marketing, all the back end stuff. They've been like buying up, $1 million to $2 million a year companies in the space that have great products and faces and Wall Street guys. So we're going to get offers. We're going to drive the traffic. We're going to help retarget and monetize the traffic, and we're going to own it 50-50. So now we're not just making money in the front end like most agencies do. Now we're building an asset that can make us passive income month over month that, hey, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, we could sell it for 10, 20, $50 million. And that's, I think, like what most people like watching this video need to understand is your skill is, I'm speaking to everybody here, like your skill is so valuable. You are a critical component of any business, right? If a business can't get customers, it is nothing, right? You need customers to grow. You are providing the fuel for the rocket. And we've just come to expect that like, this is how much money we can make. We make money at the front end. That's the way it is. That's the way we're going to do it. I think we need to start as an industry thinking bigger and understanding that, hey, there's less and less money on the front end nowadays. It's getting more and more expensive. The pie is getting smaller and smaller. We need to stop fighting over that pie and start readjusting what pie we're looking at, right? Because all that back end money, that's the big picture. That's what I want a piece of. And that's what we should be getting pieces of, because we're bringing in that customer. We have the expertise to help monetize that customer further, to build out post-purchase funnels, to move people with the value ladder. And so that's like what I think most agency performance marketers should be looking at, is restructuring their compensation model. And then also looking at how can I leverage my client relationships to build these assets. I guess the one final thing is also looking at ways you can create like synergistic partnerships with clients. So an example would be, and this is not for everybody, this is, case by case basis, but Pat, for example, has a bunch of courses. His courses don't compete with our courses. It's different. So he has podcasting and affiliate marketing. Well, hey, we have these people coming into his affiliate marketing course. Pat's teaching them the very beginner steps of affiliate marketing. Well, inevitably, once they start making the first few sales, they might want to drive traffic. That's the next component for affiliate marketing. So we happen to have courses on traffic. Well, let's form a relationship where we make you a super affiliate. We basically take your affiliate marketing students, we retarget them with a video ad featuring a testimonial of Pat talking about, hey, these are the guys that run my Facebook ads, and they have a course on Facebook. You need this to take your affiliate marketing to the next level. So now he gets a big chunk of that. So the lifetime value of his affiliate marketing students goes up. We make more money because we now have this great warm pool of students. Pat makes more money. We make more money. Everybody is doing better in this relationship than they would without this relationship. Like those are the type of creative deal structures that I think we should be thinking of as performance marketers and agencies, because there's a lot of those low-hanging fruit deals on the table, but people just don't think that way. They're not thinking about connecting their clients together and getting a piece of it. They're not thinking about connecting this client with this offer over here because it can make both parties more money. Like there's just so many things like that that could generate passive income. But again, a lot of people are thinking small. They're thinking percent of ad spend.
Absolutely. Some massive blocks of gold there from Max. One of the questions I actually saw today from someone was, how do you actually structure deal structures where you're doing either a percent of rev or percentage profit? So for example, would the client set a baseline and you take X percent of that, or do you just look at the whole? How do you kind of approach that?
Yeah, so for Pat, it was easy because we were the first people to ever run paid traffic for him. So there was no it was all starting from scratch. We were kind of with him from his very first course. For newer businesses that might be doing 7-8 figures already, we'll structure deals where it's a percent of lift. So, hey, if you're already doing $1 million a month, but you don't want to touch what you've already done, that's going to cause tension. You're not going to like that, right? Let's just take 10% of anything above 1 million. So if we get you to 2 million a month, we'll take 100,000. So I think that's the at a high level the structure. Again, it's going to be dependent on the business. Are they selling info product? Are they selling products with a lot of costs that go into them? That's going to determine what type of deal structure you do, what the margins are like. But yeah, I would say if it's an existing business that's already doing very well, you probably want to do something based on lift of revenue or profits to make the deal the most fair for both parties and make them kind of excited to want to do it. Because that way it's like, hey, I'm only making money again if you're making more money. I'm not going to if you do it based on what they're already doing, then you're back in a situation where you could be making money and them not making more money. And that's, again, not a good place to be.
Absolutely. So right now you've got kind of info products, you've got the agency, you've got e-com and many other things as well. What's the thing that you enjoy day to day that you're doing from a business point of view?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this is actually something we spent the last quarter on, deep thinking about what we actually want to do as partners in the business, what we want Unicorn to be. To be honest, it was the last, and I'm sure you can relate to this. I spent my 20s, I'm 29 now, but pretty much my entire 20s just busting my ass. And I've never worked a 9-to-5 job. I mean, I worked shitty jobs in high school and college, but I never worked a 9-to-5 corporate job out of college. I started my first company while I was still in school. Since then, I've made my own money. Every bill I pay, I need to earn it. And so for years, I was struggling. I mean, Larissa and I, we begged, borrowed, and steal to pay rent, to make ends meet every month for years. And then, 2 years ago, things started going like this. And then it was just the last year and a half, it's been like this. And I kind of a few months ago, after getting married, put my head above water and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm kind of doing this because this makes a lot of money. And I got really focused on that. But I'm I don't really know the purpose anymore. What am I happy doing? What do I want to do? And so we've really now focused on let's start building more of a team. Let's start delegating a lot more. I've delegated a lot more day to day to other people, put trust in other people because I just can't be the bottleneck anymore. And now I'm focused more on just creating content, speaking, like providing high level strategy. So hopping on like audits with potential clients, hopping on our monthly calls with clients to brainstorm what the next month, what the next quarter is going to look like at a bigger level, not just like Facebook ads, but like, how are we going to hit this goal this quarter across all of our traffic channels, across our funnels, and look much bigger picture, and also start dabbling in like future mediums. Because I think that the danger of, and I've been really working the last few months to get out of this hole of being like the Facebook guy, is that you're tied to a platform. And, Facebook has been great for me. It's allowed me to build a lot of influence. It's allowed me to make a lot of money. But at the same time, Facebook is just a channel, right? Like Facebook is just like TV, it's just like billboards, like direct mail, like Snapchat, like Google. It's a platform that allows me to get a message in front of people. I want to be known more for like being able to create compelling user journeys and messages and acquiring customers and scaling businesses on the marketing side, regardless of the platform. And so we're looking at, that's why we're looking at Snapchat. That's why we're looking at native. That's why we're looking at YouTube. And I'm learning from people that are already rock stars there and trying to just consume a lot more content, take more time off to be more like to think critically and like spend an hour a day just like brainstorming and thinking and reading. I think there's some things coming in the next few years that are going to be absolute like game changers and transformative in our space that literally change everything. So like voice, I think is, and I know we don't have much time and I'll answer some questions, but like voice is going to change everything. Like almost every home has a smart speaker in it right now. And that smart speaker doesn't have a screen. So how do we as marketers prepare for a future where our consumers don't interact with the display anymore? Like that's crazy to think about. Like that changes everything, right? It's like going from having to go to the library to get information to going to Google and search engines. It's transformative in how we interact with things. And so a lot of big brands are already dabbling with voice. Johnny Walker, Domino's, Tide, they're all creating Alexa skills that allow customers to interact with their brand through Google and Google Home, Amazon Alexa, and the HomePod or whatever, and stuff like that's really exciting to me because it's transformative.
Absolutely. So, in terms of Facebook, like, what do you see as the longevity? Because I think there will come a point where it becomes less of a primary channel for people. Is that like in months for you, or still years? What do you see as coming up?
I don't see Facebook as ever truly like going away. Obviously, when we're talking like centuries, that's totally different. But in our lifetime, it's too big and it's too deeply integrated into every fabric of like what we do, government, big companies, like nonprofit, society. It's just like really deeply integrated into society across the world. So I don't think even if Facebook loses, user growth slows, again, when you have, over half the world's population using your platform, you can't grow 100% anymore, right? You just can't. You have no more people. So I think, Facebook as a platform will definitely, the growth continues to slow and you'll see, fewer young people on it. But here's the thing, when everyone says Facebook's dead, well, Instagram is the number one and Facebook owns Instagram. So I think Facebook, whether the main Facebook platform slows down is inevitable, but then they just have Instagram. And then when Instagram slows down, they have Oculus, maybe AR and VR becomes the next big thing.
And maybe they go and buy another platform like TikTok, for example.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think people are giving Facebook crap for like not being able to, like, Snapchat turned them down and they try to copy Snapchat. Like other platforms turned them down, then they got turned down. But like you also need to remember, Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion. Everyone thought that was a terrible deal. I was still in college then, and it turned out to be one of the greatest investments of all time. Facebook bought Oculus for a few $1 billion. WhatsApp for $1 billion. They've made some really, really good investments way ahead of time that have paid off massively. So I wouldn't underestimate them in terms of acquiring new like hot channels or just innovating internally. I mean, like same thing with like when you're that big, people say like Apple is like dead, right? Apple's new products coming. It's impossible for a company like that that has that much money with that many smart people working around the clock on innovative stuff to not come out with another innovative product. It's just like impossible. They have people working on stuff we can't even fathom at all those companies. So yeah, I think it'll just look different. It just might not be Facebook, the feed as we know it. It could be just a different, company Facebook owns.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that Facebook run out of people in terms of growth. That's why they brought out Facebook dating to create more people, right?
Right. Yeah. Just start having our users have more kids and we're good. And then
exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a fair point. Like, although I have experienced life without Facebook, I can't imagine what life would be like without Facebook right now. Because it's like, for example, I would not have connected with Max, chances are, without Facebook. And there's tons of other people. I wouldn't have grown my brand. There's a question on personal branding, which we'll come to shortly. Facebook has helped me to go places as well. And it's if you look at kind of affiliate marketing, for example, affiliate marketing really took off in many different ways through SEO. It was a great way for people with almost no money, but with great knowledge and hacks to actually make money. Facebook is kind of doing that for dropship, print on demand. You don't actually need that much money comparatively to actually create a store and grow it and scale it. There isn't, I don't think right now, another platform like Facebook that can allow you to do that. So like the benefit to everyone right now is just, it's huge. And I do agree there's many years left. But I think what will change is the way we advertise, the way Facebook collect their data. There's going to be still loads of things that change as well. Yeah. And we just have to adapt and keep up as well. So I'm conscious of time. I know that we're close to the hour. I'm going to grab some questions. So there's a question from Ken, actually. What monetary success have you seen with Snapchat? I guess, have you driven any revenue from it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing, Ken, like nothing that I'm going to write a case study about right now. Again, our initial goal with Snapchat is like, we're looking at a lot of different platforms to diversify. And so we're testing, Pinterest and native and doing more on YouTube. And we're looking at like Spotify and radio and voice and stuff. And certain channels we're focused more on top of funnel awareness than direct response. So Snapchat, we're looking at as more like, this is a really cost-effective way to get the right people into our pre-sales and advertorials and then retarget them on Facebook. So everything we're running on Snapchat right now is pre-sales, advertorials, content for different products. And we're testing it with a few different, affiliate offers that we have relationships with some big networks that we like to test stuff with. But I will have more, probably in the next few months, I'll have much more data. Once we get this rep and once we can start spending a few thousand a day, I'll be able to give like just more concrete data on like, this is the ROI.
Awesome. Question from Mirza. Could you guys talk about the importance of personal branding?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we both can talk about this. I think it is for our industry, if you run an agency, if you're a consultant, if you're a coach, if you do info products, really anything like that, it is massive. And what's tricky is it's hard to truly realize the value of personal branding efforts, like especially on the ad side, until you start like going to events. And until you like, it could be a year down the road, 2 years down the road that you get somebody reaching out to you because they started following you a year ago and it'd be a massive client. Like that's happened multiple times where we're about to potentially work with a guy who him and his dad have this company that has raised $70 million in the last year. They're about to raise $100 million at $1 billion valuation, doing some crazy stuff with like sugar substitutes. It's all science and way over my head, but like we're going to become like partners in that business. We might get like a piece of that company as consultants. And it's because of the content I've been putting out, the value I've been putting out for years that he's been following. And so there's definitely a long-term game that branding has a play in. And then there's the short-term game, obviously, that like it's much easier to sell people things when you have a relationship with them, right? So I think it's critical. And I think it's about putting out content consistently. I think it's about being authentic and genuine to who you are, not trying to be somebody else because people see through that. And it's hard to keep it up, right? Like putting out content every day, speaking, doing those things is exhausting. And it's even harder if you have to put up like a facade and like be a different person when you're doing that than you are in reality, which is why I struggled for so long to even go this route and why I was always behind the scenes person up until maybe 2 years ago, because I didn't want to have to like be the typical the guru, right? Where you're showing off stuff and you're all flash. But because now I get to just talk about what I want to talk about, I don't have an agenda and I do it for fun. Like I'm able to do it much more consistently, much more effectively. And the results are exponentially better this way than they were without it. But yeah, I mean, it's been critical. It's been huge. It's helped us get massive clients, it's helped us charge a premium. It's like, there's so many benefits to doing it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, my view on it is, I never set out with any intention to do anything with my name and my kind of like a brand, if you want to call it that. I honestly just started by sharing stuff. Like it was just sharing knowledge because I genuinely wanted to. And that got caught by some people connected, and it just started to snowball from there. And, you know, if I look at 2018, for example, it was a crazy year for me. Like the people I'd met, the people I'd masterminded with and get invited to, you know, speak at mastermind events, going on stage. You know, 2 years ago, I actually gave up on stage because I just felt it wasn't right for me. I wasn't confident. I didn't feel I could deliver, things like that. And the opportunity came up last year. I just hired a coach and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to do something with it. And, you know, that's the crazy thing about it is you could do what you want. You don't have to speak. You don't have to go to a mastermind. You can just do Facebook Lives. There's some people who are so good at Facebook Lives or do it on a regular basis, and you know they just crush it like that, and they're able to build a following, because that's the other thing. Like when you're building this personal brand, the more consistent you are, and it's not even always about the content. There's some people that will just post every single day about what they're up to. Sometimes they're dropping knowledge and sharing stuff. Sometimes they're just at the supermarket and just saying, "Hey guys, I'm at the supermarket. Just had this idea, and you know, what do you guys think?" But it's kind of, it has to be personal to you. I think I've seen a lot of people who try and mimic other people and they don't pull it off, and it just looks crap. Honestly, it just doesn't come across right. So I think that's a key thing as well. Actually, Mirza's just followed up and says, do you guys maintain omnipresence? Like that's a huge word. At least from my point of view, I just do what I want. I don't really have a plan and agenda. I'm not Gary Vee. I'm not with this kind of crazy content plan. So Gary Vee and Peng Joon are two absolutely awesome guys that if you want to look at content distribution and all that kind of stuff, go and check them out. I'm 10 tiers below that in terms of the content I put out, but I do it just because it's fun. I put some posts out and sometimes I get great reactions. Sometimes they just go dead. I don't really care, to be honest. And also partly for me, one of the things I absolutely love about Facebook is it is literally my online journal that I'm looking forward to sharing with my kids in 10, 20 years time, because I can download all the stuff on Facebook and say, look, this is the stuff I used to share. These are my thoughts and stuff like that. So, you know, part of it is some people consciously go out to create their brand. Some people just do it for fun. I think just find your position as well.
It doesn't have to be huge, right? Like I think that's the other misconception, is that to have a successful personal brand, you need to have millions of followers, right? Like there are people I know that are crazy successful who only have a few thousand followers, but it's like they're really high level. The people that follow them are super loyal, are very successful. So, you know, I would rather have, you know, 10,000 people that kind of follow me. The cute dog comment. 10,000 people that follow me, that like buy anything I put out, that invest in everything, that are like fully supportive, than millions of followers who are just like not ideal customers. Because the whole point of building a personal brand is obviously there's a reason why you're doing it. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you're doing it without like a monetary goal and the goal is just for fame and for your ego, that's just like a celebrity. I mean, that's just, you know, a different outcome. So that's a volume game. But if you're doing it because you want to build a business and build real value, the quantity isn't really the big problem. It's the quality.
Absolutely. So we're over the hour. Honestly, I'd love to actually spend a day or a few days masterminding with Max and getting people into a room. I think that would be awesome. And you know, I'd love to do that one day. But we're up for the hour. Max, how do people follow you, keep up with you, learn more from you, etc.?
Sure. So, I mean, you can go to maxwellfin.com. That has all my info on it. You can, you know, friend me on Facebook, shoot me a message here. And then also I'm doing more stuff on YouTube. So I think I actually don't even know my channel. Yeah, it's youtube.com. Just Maxwell Fin is the extension. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, I'm trying to post a video a day. I want to set like a habit to post content every day. So I'm working for it. So hopefully the more people that push me to do it, I'll be more likely to do it.
Absolutely. Go and give Max a follow and a friend request, all that kind of stuff. Max, it's been awesome. Hope to do this again sometime soon. Hopefully see you guys in the summer as well. But hope you have a great day. Guys, thanks for joining us on the Facebook Ads Power Hour, and we'll see you online soon. Thank you.